Hello everyone, welcome back to Twilight Tales. If you're brave enough to make it through tonight's chilling journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who loves the darkness as much as you do. Now settle in, turn off the lights, and remember, not every village wants to be found. I first heard of Merrow's Hollow from a drunken old man at a roadside bar, his eyes heavy with memories he wouldn't dare repeat in the daylight. He said it like a curse, the village where the children disappear. I was researching forgotten towns for a book project, ghost towns, abandoned settlements, strange communities left off maps. Naturally, his story snagged my curiosity like a hook behind the eyes. He warned me not to go, said if I walked in with both feet I might not walk out at all, that no child had ever come back once taken by the hollow. Warnings like that are candy to people like me. The road to Merrow's Hollow wasn't paved. It wasn't even marked. I had to follow broken directions, twisted legends, and a strange fog that clung low to the ground like a sentient thing trying to turn me around. But I found it. Or rather, it let me find it. It wasn't entirely abandoned. The village had about a dozen weather-beaten houses, all still standing, some with flickering lights behind cracked windows. There were no cars, no power lines, and no sounds except the crows and wind. And even they felt like actors on a haunted stage. There was a schoolhouse at the center, peeling white paint, a rusted bell that hadn't rung in years, and broken toys scattered in the yard like offerings to something beneath the earth. That was my first shiver. The toys. No dust, no decay. Fresh. The first person I met was a girl, maybe 7 or 8, standing barefoot near the swing set. Her dress was from another era, 1930s maybe, and she just stared at me with wide, glassy eyes. "Are you lost?" I asked. She tilted her head, as if trying to understand the question. Then she smiled, but it wasn't a child's smile. It was a grin too wide, too knowing. "They're coming," she whispered, "and you brought them." That was when I felt the presence behind me. Turning quickly, I expected someone, a villager, maybe a caretaker, but there was nothing. Just a breeze, and the feeling that I'd been marked. I should have left then. But I didn't. That night I stayed in one of the abandoned cottages. It smelled of mildew and old wood, but the bed was surprisingly clean. There was a hand-carved cradle by the window. Empty. I didn't sleep much. The house made noises, whispers, soft footsteps on floorboards that didn't creak, the sound of breathing where there shouldn't be. At 2:13 a.m., the front door opened on its own, and I saw them. Children. Dozens of them, standing in the fog just beyond the porch. Silent. Watching. Some had twisted limbs, their eyes hollow and black as wet coal. One child was missing his lower jaw. Another had what looked like bite marks all over her arms. They didn't move. They didn't speak. They just stood there, until the wind whispered again, "Play with us." I slammed the door and locked it. Not that it would help. There was no phone signal, no GPS, my car wouldn't start. And something had scratched a message across the windshield. "Stay." By morning, the children were gone, but their laughter remained. It echoed through the trees, from within wells, beneath floorboards, even from inside the walls. Constant, mocking, high-pitched laughter that frayed the edges of my sanity. I visited the schoolhouse again. Inside, the blackboard still had writing. Attendance, with a list of names, all children, and all marked absent in red. I flipped open the teacher's ledger. The last entry was from 1963. They took Samuel today. That's 34 children in 6 months. I locked the doors. I won't teach ghosts. I won't. I won't. It ended in scratch marks as though the pen had been replaced by nails. I wandered the village trying to find someone, anyone, who could explain. And I did. Her name was Margaret, the only adult I'd seen. She lived in the largest house filled with dusty antiques and the smell of burnt sage. Her eyes were tired, her voice a trembling whisper. "You should not be here," she told me. "You woke them." "Who are they?" I asked. She didn't answer right away. This village, it was cursed long before the settlers came. The land was never meant to be lived on. The tribe that once lived here, the Aquan, they warned of the hollow ones, spirits of the deep woods, born from sorrow and silence. They feed on the joy of children, their laughter, their innocence, but they must be invited, and we did that. "How?" I asked. Margaret's hands shook as she handed me a photo, black and white. A May Day festival, children dancing around a pole, ribbons in hand, joy in their eyes. "That was the last celebration," she said. "We didn't know the pole was planted over an Aquan burial mound. We gave them our children without knowing." "Why didn't you leave?" "We tried," she said. "But the village holds you. Once the laughter finds you, you belong here. You can leave the borders, yes, but the sound follows. It never stops. And eventually you come back." That night I heard scratching on the walls. It came from inside. I moved a cupboard and saw it. Tiny handprints, like 100 children had clawed to get out. My flashlight flickered. The laughter returned. This time louder. Closer. I saw something in the mirror. A boy. Pale. Eyes black and dripping like ink. He was in the reflection, but not in the room. He raised a finger to his lips, then pointed, behind me. I turned slowly. There were 6 of them now. Inside the house. Motionless. One child missing half his face. Another floating just slightly off the ground, her legs swinging like she was hanging from something unseen. They advanced as one. I don't remember screaming, only waking up in the cradle by the window, curled like a baby, and something was whispering a lullaby. Not in English, not in any language I knew. I ran. Through the fog, through the woods, past the rusted sign that read, Merrow's Hollow, ST 1802. It changed as I passed. The letters melted into the bark. "You'll be back." I made it home. Somehow. But the laughter followed. I hear it in the water pipes, in the wind, against my windows, and in the mirror. They wait. Every reflection is a window now. Every silence is a doorway. I've been trying to write this down to warn others, but I know the truth. I left the village, but the village never left me. So if you're ever on a back road and an old man tells you about a forgotten village where the children vanish, don't go. Because the children aren't missing, they're waiting, and they are so very lonely. If you're still with me, Congratulations, you survived another night with Twilight Tales. If you enjoyed this descent into darkness, like, subscribe, and share the shadows with someone else who dares to listen. Sleep tight, and don't look in the mirror tonight.